what does it mean that something is on a spectrum, and what does it mean when someone says everything is on a spectrum? I'm going to explain that today by using autism as an example. I think it's a really good example because everyone kind of knows how complicated people are, and everyone also knows that autism is on a spectrum, whatever the fuck that means. So, level 1. It's probably the simplest and dumbest way people see a spectrum. It's not exactly wrong, it's just very dumbed down and kind of misleading. So it's like the question, how autistic are you from 0 to 10? This is, of course, extremely oversimplified, but pretty much the idea of what a lot of people have of what a spectrum is. So yeah, the simplest version of a spectrum is a slider. So, a two-dimensional spectrum. So is every autistic person somewhere on the spectrum, or what? Well, kinda yeah, but it doesn't say much. Just like with IQ, of course everyone has an IQ, but it's just an oversimplified number and very top level and doesn't actually say anything about the person. Let's add another variable. A third axis, feeling versus thinking. Probably the most important aspect of autism. You might be thinking, right, how the fuck is it gonna draw 4 dimensions? It's actually pretty simple. So here we have 6 dimensions, or variables, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. Just imagine there's an infinite number of these sliders. That's what makes up the spectrum. So what? You just have a million of these and that's a spectrum? Well, yeah, but it goes further. For example, what the fuck does a feely thinky score of 7 even mean? Well, every one of these sliders or variables, whatever, is its own spectrum. Luckily, we can draw those. Let's just take feely thinky to start with. As you can see, it's made up of another infinite amount of sliders as well. And this works the exact same way as before. It's just another level down, so to speak. If we take a look at abstract or concrete thinking, I have a score of 2. But just like feely thinky, just like before, it's another set of infinite variables, and so on, and so on. The next thing I'm going to touch is that all these variables affect each other. I could probably draw a bunch of lines between all this shit to show how it's connected, but that would just look confusing. The thing is, everything is connected in some way. It should be pretty clear how very concrete thinking and a lack of understanding sarcasm is linked. It should also be pretty clear how that fucks you over in a social setting, and so on. Anyways, I digress. Let's go back. The point is, this is what a spectrum is. So it's not a number that goes from 0 to 100. It's a lot of variables that are made up of a lot of variables, and those variables are also made up of variables, and it keeps going recursively. And this shit is all connected and affects each other somehow. Of course, these drawings are not fact. It's a shitty illustration of how pretty much everything works. No, actually, how literally everything works. And how everything is fucking complicated. Not just people. Of course, some things are more nuanced and complicated than others, sure. But everything in this world is on a spectrum. You can draw a spectrum like this for everything else. For example, sexuality, or politics, movies, games, music, food. Pretty much everything you can think of, if you just get creative enough. The point is, and what this means, is that you can never know everything about something. There's always more nuances to stuff, always another side to the coin. Always something you didn't think of. Another shitty example is, why doesn't she text me back? Well, of course, maybe she just dislikes you. Or maybe she's busy, or maybe she gets distracted easily, or maybe she forgot. Maybe you wrote some dumb shit without even knowing it. In regards to pretty much everything, nobody, maybe with the exception of AI, will ever know everything about something. Nobody will ever see the full picture. And if they could, it would be impossible to explain with all the details. What sets most people apart from experts, who have dedicated their entire lives to researching something, is that experts are painfully aware that there's a lot of shit they don't know, and they know they can be wrong. So next time you read some dumb shit on Twitter or Reddit, don't ask yourself, is it really that simple? Instead, ask yourself, why is it not that simple?